Axons Unleashed.
G'day everyone, my name's Robbie. I'm joined here with my main man, Dane, and we've got some very special guests into the office this morning. Welcome to another episode of Axons Unleashed. We've got the amazing Hugh and Kellie. How are you?
Hello.
Always good.
Yes,
Always.
mate. Yeah, well, he says it like, welcome back. This is your first time here, to be clear. Yeah. But certainly I know you've had a great chance to listen to a lot of our other podcasts. So as a bit of background, ladies and gents, Hugh and Kellie are both veterans. And both current clients of Axon, which is really, really cool. So there's lots and lots of stuff to talk about because they've heard Dane and I about why we joined the military, our time in the military, becoming a junior leader, and then eventually having a chance where, all right, most people say they don't fucking care about me enough anymore, so I'm out of here, in short. And then, of course, you made the sort of transition. But, Kel, I know you've been out for a few years, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes, how we first met, what your experience has been like with Axon, and then, I guess, what are you guys doing now? So, yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, dude, I'm actually really looking forward to this one. And I was saying to Robbie just upstairs before, I was like, mate, do you remember? So when I started training for a coach and moved from property specialist to doing coaching, I had 3 months of training where I'd sit with Robbie and then we get off a call and be like, oh, terrible, or whatever it was. But we do left seat, right seat, which was really good. But you guys were actually one of those members at that point in time, right, where you came through. I would have been very green back then, so I was really excited when I heard you guys were coming in, especially a fellow RAAF'y.
Yeah.
Come on.
Air Force connection.
Yeah. Three-pointer there. But just sort of getting that background and stuff, I'm really looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go first?
All yours.
Yeah, right on you. Tell us your story, mate. Where'd you grow up, and then why? You know, this is a great story, ladies and gents. Just quickly, how old are you?
23.
23. Got your first property under your belt. Done a few years in the military. Already transitioned. Got another career, Kel.
And I'm 27.
Right. Just, there you go. Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to give each other a high five.
Yeah.
She's like, whoa, look at me go. He goes, what do you mean? I just got this awesome mature chick under my belt. Anyway. But, you know, same deal. Join the military, spend some time in there, successfully transition, building your own house. Like, this is a good story, ladies and gents. I know lots about your circumstances, of course, as coach to be, sort of going through there. So I can't wait to share as much as what I know, but I'm sure there's shit tins about your life that you didn't talk to me about because I probably didn't ask the question.
A few little secrets?
Yeah.
Oh. Hidden secrets.
Well, you guys have heard all my secrets.
Yep.
Actually, just quickly, let's talk about what have you liked most about the podcast so far? You?
I've liked really hearing everyone's story. I think, and I was just saying to Damo, everyone, defense is so big, but it is so small, that community. Just being able to hear like-minded people talk, and, you know, it may be someone's story is a little bit different, but a lot of them are very similar too. So it's good to hear other people and their experiences and stuff like that.
You're now part of that, buddy. So that's good.
Sure am.
What about you, Kel? Because you guys have both sent me individual messages. You're like on the train going into work. You're like, oh, I just finished listening to the story. I was pissing myself laughing on the train and stuff. So you've been really interactive to me, which makes me feel amazing. But it's just good to know you're getting value from us sitting in here drawing off, really. But yeah, what's been some of your highlights? Can you remember?
Well, I suppose like even speaking to Hugh, like when we even started with you guys before like the podcast was even like a thing. I said, like, you know, you're always really, like, relatable. So, like, knowing, I suppose, when you're going back into, like, a civvy world, it's very different to have, like, that adjustment, even if, you know, I wasn't in for a large amount of time. But having that, like, it just felt like, you know, like a really good connection. Like, we knew you guys for years. And, yeah. So
it's funny what Zoom can do. Like, we had spent hours and hours of the first part of our relationship, you know, doing it's almost like I'm like looking for the third umpire, just doing my little thing on the screen there. You guys think about me going to third umpire if you're not watching on YouTube. But yeah, so it's really good. Like you can get that little connection, and I guess as guys that spend the majority of our lives, Dane, you would agree on those calls, talking to all the different people. We've really refined our bullshit meter, but we've refined our character traits as well. Like you become a scary judge of character, and that's why we make sure we always do those connection calls or discovery calls they might have been called when you first started, because you can't fake body language. And you can even go, you guys just nodding right now. You haven't said anything, but I know you get what I mean, which is really cool because people have seen us in the video. We haven't seen them. And as you guys have experienced, when we go all in and we share with you all the information and you get it full access to the whole team, it's a pretty immersive and pretty exciting ride. But not quite frankly, not everyone deserves to have a crack at it. And this is why, you and I especially have filtered so many people. I'm like, it's not a personal attack on someone. It's like, you're not in the right mindset or your right personality, or you want to try to achieve something that we don't specialize in. So I'm not your guy. Yeah. That's our little saying. So we haven't sort of been backwards and coming forward there. And, not everyone sort of deserves to be sitting where you guys are, and certainly not everyone deserves to be wearing an Axon shirt. Yeah. That's another side conversation we had back in the day as well. All right. That's a really good little insights anyway. Like I said, I don't know anyone else who's been so interactive with me, and it's almost grateful that you've enjoyed the podcast of what you're now sitting on so much.
Yeah. I feel like, I hope that everyone on the train, like if they could just hear some of the conversations that like we hear, like honestly, like I've had to message you being like, oh my goodness, like I'm holding in my laughter, like because, it's 6 a.m. in the morning and people aren't even awake yet. And here am I like listening to like an hour-long podcast
of us,
just like loving the day. And I'm like, what a good day, what a good start.
It really creates that, I guess, that Axon community too. We talk about the defence community, but the Axon community and what it is a tight-knit community. And even the people that we met at the Brisbane meetup, like Semi and CJ and people like that. It is so, just being able, that open book, everyone knows each other's stories, and just makes that community a lot more special. And
and we've taken it to another level now by having the Axon Elite Facebook group.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
All right, so that's really, really cool as well. All right, over to you, Hugh. Where'd you grow up? Why'd you join the military? What year was it? All that, I heard you say outside quickly, and I'm like, stop, hold that thought. You almost got railroaded into joining the real military, which is the army, but you didn't. You went to the Air Force.
The good choice.
There's me, ex-army, 3 ex-RAAF'ys in here. I don't even know if I'll make the end of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, but here's hoping.
Yeah, so born and bred in a small country town in the Snowy Mountains called Cooma, so about an hour south of Canberra. And
isn't that where all the white collar crims go? There's like a Cooma.
Yeah. So
he's hoping I don't ever end up in there. Anyway.
Yeah, as a fresh 18-year-old doing a bit of plumbing work and straight out of school and getting wolf whistled, I was straight out of there and never returned.
Well, you're getting wolf whistled.
Yeah.
You are a good-looking young man, I've got to say.
I had longer hair too, and with the
that made you leave.
Yeah.
Kel's like nervously laughing. He's like, who are these bitches wolf filling out my man?
But yeah, born and bred down in Cooma. I've got 2 younger brothers, one of which is an officer. He's just been promoted to captain in the artillery.
Great.
Yeah,
now we're talking.
Yeah, so he's a choco down in Sydney. And then, got a younger brother who is at uni as well. Got mum and dad, and they really, from when their upbringing and everything, they've provided everything and some to us 3 boys, and to where we are today. From 3 jobs to 2 jobs to having their own business and stuff like that. And it's
really nice to hear, mate.
Yeah, I think it's only when you get a little bit older, I'm 23, but like now that, we've got our property and, we're independent and stuff like that, it's not now until you kind of like, wow, like the financial sacrifices and the time and the effort is, you look back on and you're like, God, if I could do half that for my kids, like...
Well, you will, mate.
We will.
Yeah. I do believe, I remember you guys saying you want to create a legacy for your future family.
Yeah.
And you've already started.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so good. You're one of the really lucky people in this world that have started their property journey with coaching and with mentoring and with guidance, with no mistakes being made before you're 25.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kel, you're just over. But anyway, for you. So, like if you the middle point of your relationship is 25, 23 and 27, 25 is in the middle, good enough for me anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you've got, so as a 48-year-old guy, I've only got about now fucking 10 days. Probably by the time you guys are listening to this podcast, RT's already, that person, third person, is already 49 by then. So like is 24, 25 years ahead of you. And as I've said to everyone so far, I assure you, You might not feel like this. You'll blink your eyes for another 5 times and you'll be my age. It fucking goes so quick.
Yeah.
So the fact, and therefore, but you have so much time under your belt. You know, Dane, you were just sort of talking about before. Yeah, if you want to go and buy a $300,000-$400,000 property somewhere, he's like, get a fucking time machine and take me back with you, because it just doesn't exist anymore in decent areas. That ship has sailed a long, long time ago.
I think the one of the great things for you guys as well, and 27 is the same, right? Like, everyone's 25 to Robbie, right?
Yeah.
But just the power of time, like starting early. Like whenever I have sort of members that come in and they're like, oh, you know, I want to do something. I'm like, even if you just did the minimum and just sort of poked along on your investment journey, you didn't have to put in extra and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Through time, you're going to retire with a lot of sort of assets that you're able to help your kids with. And I think whenever I sort of talk to people, and I've got a daughter as well, like uni's expensive. Shit's expensive, houses and stuff. So we talk about it now. Imagine what's going to be like when they're our age and stuff like that. So those little tweaks and stuff you do under coaching and obviously Robbie's guidance just yield huge dividends in the future. Just through time. Time is such a big factor for people.
It is.
You know, so.
Why'd you join the military there, mate?
Why did I join the military? So both my uncles were cops. My dad is a fiery. And still works for Rural Fire Service down in New South Wales.
Great. So they've got a uniform, they've got a rank structure. Like you've really grown up around that then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, and no military connection whatsoever though. But Dad always made it a massive thing, and ever since I can remember, to attend the dawn service every single year, to march for school, and then that led on to, I guess, me joining. But I think the importance of Anzac Day definitely stemmed from, just every year. And Dad, like, if something was on, it was, you're getting up in the cold morning in Cooma, you're going to rug up and you're going to sit there, or you're going to stand and you're going to listen.
Shouldn't be too much going on as a teenager at 4:45 in the morning.
No.
You never know. Cooma.
But yeah, so I guess my military, no family connection as such, but definitely it was stemmed in from a young age, and the importance.
Where was the closest recruiting centre then?
Canberra. So I was out of DFR in Canberra. So
tell us about that.
Yeah, so I went to boarding school for years 10, 11, 12 at St Gregory's College, and that was, I wouldn't be in the position I am today if I didn't go to boarding school. It taught me a lot. And it is very much like...
Give us your top 3 things.
Discipline, good money habits. That's kind of where that stemmed from.
Nice.
Boarding school.
Yeah, and mateship.
Pocket money.
Yeah.
You got to save it.
That's right. When you're getting $10 a week from mum and dad, you can't afford to go out in the city and spend a lot of money, because you're obviously not working at boarding school. So it was very much, you come back on the holidays, you work. So it was always, you'd have 2 weeks to save up, you'd get a $10 a week allowance, and mum and dad, if we ever need anything, they would give it or whatever. But like, it was the principle.
They were teaching you money habits.
Exactly right. So, but yeah, and then got accepted into uni and into a media and communications journalism degree, and thank God I didn't go down that route.
What was it? Because so many people love that pathway, mate. What was it about that didn't interest you?
It was only why I joined the military was to save money to do that. So that was where that happened. But hindsight's a good thing. But I don't think anyone really knows what they want to do at 18. Or if they do, like they're a select few. And that's where I'm very grateful, again, for the military as well, because it has landed me in the position today. It's taught me so much. But yeah, so did that.
To tell us about your almost went to the army story.
Yeah, so at boarding school, and I still remember it clear as day. And because DFR, the process is so long, and I remember Dad was doing a lot of my paperwork and stuff, and I get a phone call, and it was near HSC time, because it was that was like September, and I was looking to join in the January. I get a phone call from DFR, and they say I was originally joining up as a driver specialist. That's what it was called. It could be, the name could have changed now, in the army. Anyway, I get a phone call, and I was just because I didn't have the military experience, I didn't know much about Air Force or Navy, or it was only army. When people that don't know much about the military, it's normally Army. It's the first thing that comes to mind, right?
Drivers in the Air Force are called pilots.
Even if you're in the RAAF, though, people go, how's the Army going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you fly plane? Do you fly? Is
Yeah.
that your job?
All the time. So I get the phone call, DFRS, and she said, "Oh, we've run out of positions for driver specialists, but we've got 2 positions in the Air Force if you would like." And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And then they said, one of them's a supply, so like in the logistics field, or there's PCS, that's called. And I was like,
That's a no-brainer.
yeah, I was like,
Just for our listeners, what does that mean?
personal capability specialist.
Admin.
Like
Yeah.
admin.
Right.
So-
So you got log or admin.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So, and then I was like, it's a year. I'll just go and I'll go do some log stuff, and I'll make my money and I'll get out, kind of thing. Anyway, went down that route, and that's how I got saved. Was purely from that phone call. Otherwise, I was hell bent on joining the Army.
So was that a gap? Was that
wow.
a gap year
Yeah,
that you
that
did? So
was-
the 1 year, try
Yeah.
before you buy.
Yeah, and there is
Program.
a lot of shit that gets put on gap years. But again, and as I just said, I'm grateful for it as well, because if I hadn't have done it, or if I didn't have the mindset that I was only going to be in for a year, then I wouldn't have extended and wouldn't have been in the position I am in today.
The sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
You guys heard about mine.
Yeah.
It's fun. As I get older, and as you guys will, I know you're still on your journey, mate. But reflection and identification of sliding doors moments in the here and now, and what that means. Or you look back at something like, the penny just dropped. Like it just you can't. One thing you can't buy is time and experience.
Yep.
That's why you need a great mentor and someone that can teach you and guide you along the right path, not allow you to just trottle on down and hope you don't hit your bloody head on a branch, sort of thing. So yeah, it's interesting that you've had one as well. I did not know about that. This is why I love these podcasts with very, very little, if any, i.e. 1 minute out the fucking front of the door, preparation, because now I'm just hearing something for the first time. Yeah, very cool.
So even in my Gmail account now, the folder is Army. I never changed it, but it's still Army. So, but yeah, joined, and then obviously that year I had a great time. Absolutely loved it. I did my IATs down in Wagga. I did obviously recruits, and that's where I met Kelly. We'll get into that probably a little bit later. But
We will.
yeah, went straight.
Frat, that
Yeah.
sounds like to me.
There's a good story there, but
Is there?
so did recruits straight into OJT for 6 weeks, so on the job training for 6 weeks.
At Salt?
No, that was at Williamtown. So
yep.
they posted us before we did our IATs, and then IATs. So because I'd already been posted, they had posted me to Williamtown, and then Kelly and I had kind of got together by chance, and it was just by fate essentially that one of the girls on my IATs course hadn't been posted yet. And she got her 3 options for her posting. And one was Richmond, and that's where Kel was. One was Williamtown, where I was, and I think the other one was in Adelaide. And I said, she wanted to go to Williamtown. And I was like, well, if you want to go to Williamtown, I want to go to Richmond. And with Richmond being one of your options, let's see if we can do a swap. And then, so we went down that route. The men flew down, had the meeting with her, pulled me in, said, yeah, look, it makes sense. I'll probably be able to do it. We were like, yeah, sweet. And about 2-3 weeks later, either instructors pulled us in and said, no, we've got a phone call. You're staying in Williamtown. She's going to Richmond. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm only in for a year. I'll enjoy it. Williamtown's unreal.
Yeah, Newcastle, great spot.
It was only for the convenience of not having to drive down in the traffic every Friday and Sunday night, And then, sure enough, posting orders came out, and I was didn't take too much notice of it. And the girl at the time was like, I've been posted to Williamtown at JLU. And I was like, that's where I am. Anyway, pulled up my posting, and sure enough, they'd put me down in Richmond. So
Boom.
yeah, super lucky. And again, it was that one person that had it was later on the course that I was able to get to Richmond. But yeah, so after that went to Richmond and had a really good time, had a really good work crew. And it was really good because we were working with the APS there as well. Got to learn working with contractors, working with Limfox. So I got to learn a lot, which was really good.
Did you have much to do with the 176 air dispatch crew down there?
Yeah, so I actually
Right.
got to skydive.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and that was in my first year too. So that was another thing I was like, man, this is unreal. Like,
Yeah,
if I
nice.
can do
Where do I
this
sign?
Yeah,
Great.
If I can do this every year, like how good's that? Because I wasn't going to pay for it on Civvy Street, and it was purely by chance. Again, that there's a phone call. Oh yeah, they're jumping galore today. Like they
So
just
what time frame we're talking about here?
2017.
18, 18?
17.
You're
Yeah.
right.
So yeah, that was another thing that kind of was another good opportunity and something that kept me in. And then after that, posted, and then went on a RAAF cricket trip. And for anyone knows that the ADF sports they can.
I know it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did ADF surfing, mate. I know it.
No, he said ADF sport. Not fucking hanging out.
Surfing.
Surf in the morning, then barbecues in the afternoon.
So
It's like having BMX in the Olympics these days. I'm like, no, mate, it's not what I remember the Olympics to be about.
So that was a big eye opener and a really good time, and I met good people. And as a 19-year-old, I was like, I'm living the life. I'm getting paid to do this. Went down to Canberra for 2 weeks and had a really good time. And then so from there signed up full time. And
When the jigsaw puzzle of the Defence Force makes sense to you, and you really start to hit your straps, and you're getting on well with everyone at work, and you sort of feel like you've got a bit of a career going. You're getting paid. You got a good healthy work life balance. You're doing a bit of travel. You're seeing a bit of stuff. You're meeting new friends. It's a fucking good life as a young person, isn't it?
for sure.
All of us are sitting here nodding our heads, and everyone listening should be sitting. And regardless of what your experience was like in the military, once that jigsaw puzzle makes sense, and you really start to get that rocket fuel, like it happened to me as well. And I was like, fucking green, the fucking green and blue, light blue were fucking pumping through my veins big
Still
time.
is.
Yeah,
I love it.
still is for sure.
You are definitely in the army. It's like, what do you mean? I've been out for 8 years. He's like, no, you haven't.
You haven't gone anywhere.
That's really good to hear, mate. I'm really happy that's happened. But it's interesting that run comes to an end at some stage.
Yeah.
So maybe before we get too much further down your path, Kel, let's switch across to you. Let's go back into the years BH, before Hugh.
Before Hugh.
Yeah, where did you grow up? And just sort of tell us your little bridge story there.
So I'm one of 3 children. Grew up in the lovely Blue Mountains in Western Sydney.
Yep.
So went to school out there. Grew up like a really lovely life with mum and dad. Same thing like with Hugh, mum and dad were really good to us. Always had like really good opportunities. Thank mum and dad's, I suppose, guidance when we were younger, because wouldn't be the same gal I am this afternoon or today.
That's really nice to hear as well.
Yeah, so we both had really good like family upbringings. I suppose we have that nice little connection there.
It's and the reason why I say that, sorry to butt in, but from my experience, it's almost like I felt like it was more often than not that when you got to know some of your workmates at home, they came from broken families, not together families.
Yeah.
You are all now 3 of us agreeing with me again. So that's why I'm sort of making a point from you and now being reinforced by yourself, Kel, that you guys came from a very together family. Mum and dad are still together. My mum and dad are still together.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still like each other fucking in the early 70s, but like they're still together. And like it's just an unusual thing that I've observed with military families.
Yeah. I suppose later on, like going through high school and stuff, like mum and dad did part ways, and I have a beautiful stepdad. So like I have had really
so
good.
that's a natural part of life then. Yep.
Yeah, and like I have really good, I suppose like mentors, like growing up, like having like a good family. And then decided that I would leave school in year 10 when you could.
Right.
Didn't really like 11 and 12, didn't sit well with me. So
When you say that, what does that mean? Let's explore that for a second.
yeah, so I finished up in year 10 and actually did trade. So yeah, I'm a butcher by trade as well.
Right. And were you a hands-on sort of person like when you were younger?
very
Did you
much,
grew up?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what attracted Hugh.
Yeah. It's a lovely hunk of meat. No.
I didn't even say that. But no, but you're a real girly girl.
Yeah.
And that's something else I didn't know about you. You've got those mechanical, trade.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't think that.
Nope.
Yeah, so I actually worked part-time after school at our local butcher. Just thought, some money after school, same thing, like mum and dad wanted us to have good, like my sister and my brother all had part-time jobs and were in school. So I used to work a couple of days after school and then like a few hours on the weekend. And then, when you could leave school in year 10, I wanted to do that. My big brother did it. So I was like, if Roy can do it, I can do it. So I started my trade, or actually got offered, and my mum was like, she's not going to do a trade. Like, she won't do that. She won't, like, sitting at the butcher, like, with the blood and all. No. Like,
my dad's a butcher by trade.
Oh, really?
So this is interesting.
There you go.
Keep going, yep.
Yeah. So mum was like, she'll last, like, a good couple of weeks. She won't do it. Like, that's all.
At least she was being generous.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good couple of weeks.
Was she saying that to your face?
Yeah. She did say, like, give it a good, you'll be good.
So the answer's
blah, blah,
no.
blah. Yeah.
Family don't say that sort of stuff to their
My
face.
boss and my mum kind of were like, Kel's not going to.
The boss as well was saying it. What was he giving? Anyway.
And then he offered me, like, an apprenticeship, and I was like, this is my key out. Yeah. Like, all right, I'll do it. And I told mum and dad, like, you told me if I had a trade or full-time job or I was studying, I could leave school, so I have a trade. And they were like, okay. So, did my trade 4 years as a butcher, and then I just did, like, some management stuff as well. I was too young to join the Air Force. I always had an insight to join the Air Force. My uncle and auntie, like, growing up, my uncle's been in...
It's about 43 years. And
in the RAAF.
A long time.
Yeah, and then my auntie, she's been in as well, both my cousins. So kind of grew up with that, like, military... background.
That's
you want to say?
Air Force specific though.
Yeah.
All Air Force,
All Air Force.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my cousin, he did join the army.
Yep.
But other than that, everyone else was RAAF'ys.
DFR must have got that guy.
I know. They must have said,
They
hey.
got him. Yeah. There's no jobs in the RAAF, mate. You got to
You
go.
can't. You got to do it.
So that's interesting in itself. Like I don't remember ever speaking to anyone that's joined the military that had so much influence from one particular service in a tight knit family, like that constant influence almost.
Yes.
No wonder it shaped you at such a young age.
Yeah, so I would have been, probably in year 10, and I remember every time, like, my uncle would come, he'd always be like, come on, kids, like, it's a good, it's a really good life, like, look at me, look at, your auntie, like, everyone's, and I'd be like, okay. My brother always used to say yes, never took the path. I actually wanted to join up as a dog handler, obsessed with dogs, love them.
That's good.
Wouldn't have been a good job for me. But so I joined up, went through DFR in Sydney, so I went through Parramatta, enlisted in 2016. Started, I suppose I was direct entry loadmaster, so that was the first direct entry course to kind of go through.
Right, cool.
So it was a big
That's a good job.
Opener,
Yeah.
So
Do you know a girl called Maria? No.
I'm not very good with names, I will say that.
I thought she was the... Anyway,
Unless...
story for another time.
Maybe? Yeah, we'll chat after.
Yeah. Right. Continue.
Yeah. Joined direct entry, went down. It was quite quick for me. Actually, it wasn't quite quick. I went in when I had to go through quite a bit of medical beforehand just to get through, because being in aviation, they wanted you to have, like, a higher end of health.
Yeah, you're part of
like
aircrew
ears
as a
and-
loadie.
yeah.
Yep.
So it took quite a bit to get through in that sense. And I did fight like a mech. Like, they gave me, like, a mech, I don't know, something beforehand. Yeah. And then I was like, no, I'm not happy with that. So then I, like, fought it, was successful, enlisted, everything was good to go.
Good.
Well
done.
So went down 2016. I actually got back coursed on my first course. And then Christmas break, and then this one rolled in the door, and I joined.
Was that an
his
accurate
course.
story? Did you know that story? Was it
Was that
how that all sort of panned out?
Well, I didn't
this
know.
one,
Yeah.
this one rolling in the
Yeah.
door. Like we just heard how that one rolled in said
I know,
door.
yeah.
Did you know that
Yeah.
story? There was some sliding door moments here about posting orders and stuff.
Yeah, so I think, like, with, I suppose, like, again, like, I think, like, back on it now that I have, like, transitioned successfully and stuff, and my time in defence was a little bit different to Hugh's. But yeah, when I did join, like, I remember my uncle saying, "You'll meet your future husband," and I was like, no, I won't. Like, I'm young, I'm not interested in a husband. Like, I just want to do my job. Like, that's all.
There's no ring on it yet,
Yeah,
though.
no ring.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yes.
Mate, it's irrelevant. It's. I don't know many females that have non-military other halves. It's just the numbers just don't stack up.
Yeah. The
Therefore,
majority of, like, or some of our friends, like, they have, like, they were either together before they joined.
right, that's different.
But, like, if they've gone in single, like, usually,
Yeah,
you meet
the
someone.
likelihood of that
Yeah,
occurring
like-
is
Recruits.
pretty high.
Yeah.
yeah, good old recruits.
Mate, it's not just at the recruit level. Trust me,
Everywhere. Isn't it?
as an instructor at Duntroon, I knew about it heard about it, turned a blind eye to it like everyone did for a long, long time. And there were full colonels and brigadiers that were working across the military that, you go to a dining in night, like, oh, how did you meet your miss? He goes, oh, well, we sort of met at Duntroon and back in the day, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, now you're a fucking 1-star general. So, don't tell me it hasn't been happening for a long, long time now, ladies and gentlemen. It's just another one of those things that sort of gets turned a blind eye until there's a little incident and everyone's like, oh, have you guys been fraternising? Well, did you know that there is hang on, let me just fucking blow off the cobwebs here and find the DIG that it's got to do with.
There's a when I was at OTS, we had they call them directing staff, like your MSIs, but they call them DSs. And I remember this squadron leader saying to me, "Fratters are gonna frat," and we used to say it all the time to each other. Well, it's gonna happen anyway. But it's because you get absorbed into that community, right? Like you're there 24 hours a day. You live in that life, so it's something natural.
You spend so much time with one another, funny actually. On the way down in the car, I was saying to Hugh, I was like, I know a story. So I suppose because I was like a retread on the course, I had a little bit more knowledge than the newer ones, and down to folding your socks and certain things that your cupboards
wasn't your
look
first
like.
rodeo. You knew how to do it.
Was not, yeah.
Yes.
And this lovely Hugh needed some help.
Of course he did.
Sock folding.
Work smarter, not harder.
So helped him out, folding the socks, ironing his uniforms. He kind of pulled me in, got me to do all the hard work. He would sit on the ground under the ironing board. I would.
Yeah. What's he doing down there?
No.
Practicing supervision skills as a leader.
Yeah.
But we were honestly only friends at the start, and as you said, because you're in that you're doing everything together. You're in an unfamiliar environment with each other. You're doing things that you don't want to, but you have to. You really get to go
through different emotions. Yeah. You're fatigued and hungry and angry.
That's right. You really get to see what someone's like in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So,
Kel would have put in a good resume then.
Yeah. Very good resume.
She's cleaning those socks.
Yeah. Look at that.
It's like, I
still iron Hugh's shirt.
I was just about to say, how clean is my future house going to be? Yeah.
Tick, 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 tick.
Thinking about his wardrobe at home, how messy it is.
Nice.
Hey, so because you did slightly less time in the military, and I've loved your story so far, let's transition into what your time was different, how your time was in the military, and then when that point came. Let's talk about your transition so we've got a bit of continuity.
Yeah, so I suppose enlisted September 2016. Got to my unit, so we graduated, when was it, April?
Yeah, April of 17.
Yeah, April 17, and then I went actually to Canberra. So I had to go into a holding cell, if you want to kind of say, before my IETs were starting at Richmond. So I had a few months down in Canberra, actually lived on RMC. So lived there for a little bit, and then Hugh and I would commute in between. I was just doing, admin kind of, wasn't really doing much. I got to do
in the transit lines.
Yeah, literally just passing some time. And then I started my course at 37 Squadron down in Richmond. Met a few really great mates. That kind of happened. So that was 2017. So I would have started course mid to end 2017. I actually got injured. So being a loadie, we had to do a lot of courses. Traveled a lot, in my first couple of months doing my IETs, which was really good. And I was like, okay, this is a life. And I suppose even when I first enlisted, I was single, I was younger. It took a little bit of time for me to get through with my mech stuff and then enlisting and then being back course and all of that. So it was a large chunk before I even started my IETs that the time kind of changed. And as it does, as the time goes on. So yeah, I actually, we did quite a lot of courses. We had to have I wouldn't say an elite fitness because that's not it, but we had to do a bit more, on our feet and do ComServe and things like that.
Yeah.
And training for ComServe, I actually hurt my knee.
Right.
Yeah, so I was put back from that. So I was mech downgraded for nearly a year with all of that lovely stuff, which was, quite hard on myself, mentally as well as physically. And there was a lot of things that I had to kind of go through, a lot of hoops. Even on, having Hugh in the military, it was kind of not that I was, you know, like angry at Hugh or like not supporting him for his career. But I was like, I was enlisting first. Like I should have, you know, had like a great time and things like that. So it was a bit like not heated within like Hugh and I, but like I was a little bit, you know, salty on the fact that I was like, I've done all these things and like it hasn't worked out so perfectly.
And certainly like being a loadmaster.
Yeah. So even
as opposed to being a loggy, like they're not viewed the same. Like if you're aircrew, you're aircrew, and everyone else like this. What is it you say, Dane? The job of everyone in the Air Force is to make sure the aircraft are flying.
Yeah.
And aircraft don't just have a pilot; they've got you smart folk in the back of the plane to make sure the other stuff that we used to do happens seamlessly.
Yeah.
So I fully understand the trajectory you were on and the way that you were feeling. And then I guess, Kel, as you hurt your knee there, part of you, if I could summarize what I think you were feeling, was starting to unravel in front of you.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, like, because I joined and I was like, you know what, this is going to be my career. I want to be in forever. Like, this is what I really, really wanted. And like, I didn't really have like a plan B. Like I thought, you know, I'll do my trade. I'm old enough to join. Like, this is just going to be me. Like, I didn't have anything, you know, and in the background, like I thought, you know, one day once I've been a loadie for a little bit, like I might want to study nursing. Like I didn't really have anything for like a plan B. And I actually didn't begin my my aircraft, like that frame IET. I did all my prerequisites. So I didn't graduate, which was, a bit hard on the heart and the mind. And I did, it was kind of the thing that I was like, if I don't get discharged, like I'm just going to volunteer. Like I'll just do a voluntary discharge if I can't, you know, do a remaster and things like that. And I did actually look into like a remaster because I was like, maybe Lodi isn't for me. Maybe like it's a bit too much for my body. You know, I didn't really like being away from Hugh for long periods of time. So I was like, I'm very homebod. I love being around my family and friends. And I just thought, you know, when I was younger, I saw like, you know, as DFR, they feed you different information. Like it's going to be a great life and you're going to do this and travel here, travel there.
Do you remember what they told me about bringing my golf clubs to Kapuka? I didn't fucking use them.
Yeah. And like, so you think about things like that and you're like, you know, as a young person, you don't, like I didn't think I needed to have a plan B. Like I thought I'm just going to roll on through. I didn't even know there was such thing as being back course at rookies. So like I had no insight and they don't tell you those things. So I was like, okay, like cool, just like, you know, rolled with the punches. And now like I look back and I'm like, okay, so I actually went forward with like a voluntary discharge, which was really great because I think of it now and I was offered, like there was a program called Veteran Education Program. So when I went through my transition in defence, I was offered like a position to study nursing. And because I was eligible, they would fund my nursing course. So we went down that avenue and it was quite hard in the sense because I was like, okay, I'm discharging. It wasn't on kind of it wasn't my plan. So I was very like put back by it. Took me like, even now, like I think I've only really just gotten over it. I don't think I'll ever fully get over it, but like I've kind of accepted it now because I'm happy and I really love what I'm doing. And I think, you know, this is the path that I was actually meant to do and things happen for a reason. Yep. You know, like, so I think about like I was back course, cool, I met Hugh and like I got to meet other people and do other things that, you know, weren't the start of the plan.
Yeah, and now I know that you love being in the nursing field.
Yeah, absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Like I just think like,
because I don't know any different for you.
Yeah. So like it was like a pretty rough trot for me, like in defence. It wasn't, a lovely time. But yeah, so I suppose before I got my veteran education program, I did try and remaster into a medic. And I got told that area of the mastering was actually being
recategorised into a joint capability department
so
over the Air Force.
So they said that it was roughly going to take 18 months for me to even put like an EOI in.
Yeah, it was the wrong time for you.
Yeah, and I was just like, am I going to sit here and maybe get even more injured or not make the course or, you know, be pushed out of defence? Or will I, you know, take it and be like, okay, I'm going to ride this track. And like, so that's exactly what I did. I decided to put in my discharge, go through with my nursing, and then I actually went back part-time and just worked a few days at the butcher.
Good on you.
Yeah.
That's where it all began.
Yeah, which, I think about it now and I'm like, you know what? I met, like, again, like, great people. Like, you know, look at the positives. But I was like, wow. Like, I just did that full 3-year turn, if not more. because of, the start of it. And I'm back where I started. So this is good.
But you're a far wiser, more rounded, more determined and knowledgeable person than what you could have been. Because as we all agreed, being in the military just gives you those skills, and now you can grab them and move forward.
And don't get me wrong, like I had some really, really great times in defence. Like, and I'm thankful that I got to experience that and make a different choice on my career path. Because things happen for a reason, and it's just, I suppose, one of those things. And now I finished my nursing.
Just let me press pause there, because then we eventually met each other. You guys were in Adelaide.
No, it was Sydney.
Yeah,
Oh,
Sydney.
down in Richmond. You were in Richmond.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought it was Newcastle. No. I'm completely off.
Hugh was in
So
Newcastle.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I was thinking, for some reason, I had Edinburgh in my head, but no, down in Newcastle. And tell us about. So you're out then.
No, so I was still in. So Hugh was in Newcastle before he did his IETs.
Yeah, that
we
was
then
OJT.
got a joint kind of posting. I was at Richmond.
And then
Hugh
I
came
down
to Richmond.
Yep.
So we did a few months, I suppose. I don't know, just saw each other on the weekends. Kind of did that, and then moved in together
straight away. Yeah.
Straight away. So I had the house in Richmond, and then Hugh would come home on weekends, and then he'd stay on the base.
So that's when we first met. You guys were then living in Richmond
Yes.
area.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Yeah.
And you were in a pool flight then?
Yeah,
Waiting
so-
to transition out?
Pretty much.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You were out.
Yeah.
You were
when we met you guys.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I was fully, I was out. Yeah.
And
I was studying my nursing then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was happy days.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you stumbled across Axon. Let's transition into that, because I will come to your transition out of the military in a second. So it was a great story, Kel, by the way. Again, I just found out more about you, which is so fascinating. I'm not sitting on the train pissing myself because I'm trying to hold a conversation and steer where we're going at the same time. How did you guys stumble across us? What research did you do? How long was it before we finally got the chance to talk? Who made the first move? All that sort of stuff.
So I always wanted to buy a house young, and I could see the benefits and obviously of getting into the market as early as I could. And I deployed in September of 2019, and it was one of those things. I was just finished a day, came back into my room, and AMABs. Everyone's got their different experiences, but honestly, there's not much I could have complained about. It's a holiday resort in some respect,
Good mess.
Very good wraps and food and whatnot. But I was just sitting there and on Facebook, and it just came up, and I knew I was saving pretty hard because that was why I wanted the trip so bad, and it was purely by luck, essentially.
Can you remember what you saw?
It was a video. It was one of your videos. I'm not sure what the video was. You were talking about ADF. I think it might have been entitlements. I think that's kind of what caught my eye, because at the time I had no plan on leaving or anything. And then I just started to really get into it from there. I was like, all these videos. And by that point, there was a whole lot of videos backed up. You've been in the business for a while and whatnot. And so I just was watching them. And then I got back at the end of March of 2020, and I had some family stuff go on, and we kind of put that on pause. And then it got to about, would have been probably September of last year. Yeah, 2020, yeah. And then we obviously spoke about it, and that was, the main. I said 3 things I wanted to do before we had kids, and one was to be able to deploy, one was to one was to deploy, one was to go on a
good holiday,
a really good holiday, and one was to leave Sydney. And we were starting to tick stuff off. So when I got my posting order, it was like, right, we're leaving Sydney. We've just, for Rockville, we got to do a trip of a lifetime in Europe.
Yeah, good
Awesome.
Europe trip.
Nice.
Yeah, so everything just started to happen. And we spoke about it, and I had the cash there, good to go. And then I was like, I showed Kel the videos, and I was like, have a look. What do you think?
And what were your first impressions of that guy?
Of Robbie.
I suppose Hugh, we had always spoken, and Hugh wanted to buy an investment. And, I didn't have the best money habits. So it was always a dream of Hugh's. And I was like, cool, I'll just, cheerleader in the background, you're going, you're doing good. And then when Hugh deployed, I suppose like in that time that Hugh was away and stuff, like we were quite like together with money, a bit more together. And then, Hugh came back from deployment, was like, hey, I have a bucket load of cash. I found these guys, like I'm going to book in like a discovery, like blah, 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 talk. Like I want you to have a look at the videos. And I was like thinking, videos? Like I don't want to watch these videos. Like I don't have time. I'm studying. I'm studying full time. I'm working. Like I was like, oh, okay. Watch the videos. And I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. Like, all right. And I was like, cool. Yeah. I've done a bit of research. Like the stuff you've given me, like ticked it off. Like, let's do this like discovery call. That was, I think after that phone call, I was more excited than Hugh. Like I got off and I was like,
that's
wow. Like I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like when are we doing it? Like what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Like to kind of help as well, because, like Hugh, even though like we obviously spend money together, like that big chunk like Hugh earned. So I was like, if you want to use it as an investment, like more than happy for you to, and I can come on the second round. Like if we do it again, I'll just do that. And then it was very much so that you guys wanted us together. Like you wanted us on the same page to see like, both partners were happy. And yeah.
And how did that make you feel that there's not just some blokes here at Axon, because the guys take the majority of the first inbound calls. Even though we got, it's almost 50-50 now working relationship between guys and girls. It wasn't just us talking to Hugh. I want to make sure that you felt we were also including you.
I found that was probably so when I left defence, a lot of people commented on why I left. Like, why would you leave defence? Like, it's such a good thing. And I'm like, you don't know. Like, you don't know until you're in it. Like, it's a different life. Things happen. I've made my choice. I'm happy.
And everyone has their own very unique experience.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly. And a lot of people that have never, and a lot of these guys that have been butchers for 20, 30 years or whatever, like they haven't seen like a different thing. They see defence, that they're like strong and they do these things, but they don't know the insides. So I was like, okay. And like I took that pretty hard in the sense that I was like, wow, like all these things. But when I met you guys and when we spoke, I was probably like, okay, like these guys have transitioned. Like they understand me. Yeah. Like they understand me. Like I was like, wow. And I remember saying to Hugh, like, I'm really nervous. Like I don't have, a lot of money. Like I don't have a lot of money. I was nervous that we had to show you our bank accounts, because all of these things.
Not on the first call.
Because I was like, they're going to want to know everything. They're going to want to know everything, Hugh. Like, and I was like, are they going to think, she's left defence and she's done all these things? But if anything, I was like, they support me. They really liked me. Like, I was like, Hugh. Well. But I was really like a bit concerned on that discussion. And yeah, afterwards I was like, it's happening. We are doing this. This is,
Our discovery was with all three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We used to do all three back then.
Yeah. So all three then. So,
that would have been good that you would. There's three people that are now dedicating some care and attention to you guys to find out, to discover more about your circumstances.
And good energy. And that was the thing. I feed off, like, if someone's like, yeah, good to go, righto, let's go. I'm like, get me on it. Like, sign me up.
Just be careful with that, ladies and gentlemen, because there's some fucking people out there that have got some good energy, which is has the ill intentions.
For the right reasons. That's exactly right. But, and from that point, and, as what Kel said, we were all like ready to rock and roll. Essentially, we were excited. We've got no family, or at that point we have no family up in Brisbane, so it was going to be a fresh start. And then we were like, as soon as we get up there, and it somewhat helped. Things like the Brisbane meetup. That was really good for us because what
do we do that late January or something this year?
Early Feb, I think.
Right, we're just in the process of planning the new one now, and it's probably going to be around about the same time.
Yeah.
So
but being new and not having family up here and stuff like that, again, I come back to that community thing. That was great. For new people, not a lot of family up here. Got to meet
a lot of people in different parts of the process there, right? Which I always think is really valuable because in the end, Robbie and I can sing to the heavens as much as we want, but meeting someone else who's there saying, oh, well, I went through it. Yeah. This is what the feeling was like. This is what my journey unfolded. Is always going to give you a way different perspective.
Yeah. And there's nowhere to hide, really, is there? Because like you can try shelter people away. Not that you would it, but you know what I mean? Like if someone had something bad to say, they're there and they're going to probably say it. So like to hear
Especially with a
everyone's-
few drinks under their belt.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's almost like we can't talk about our business like anyone else can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
I remember saying to Hugh, like, it was a bit odd. Like, we went to, like, the, was it called Lime? What was the place called?
Oh, just a client meet up in.
Yeah, so we went there. And then I remember coming out of the lift and, like, Dan was there. And I was like we kind of, like, it was really weird because I was like, we've spoken to you guys on Zoom. And then I was like, it's almost, I don't know, like a celebrity thing because we watched you. Like,
he is real.
But like it was really bizarre, and I was like we've done like the accent, like the lives and stuff, like on Wednesday nights, like same thing. It's kind of like a little routine for Hugh and I. And like we used to set up like the TV, eat dinner, and we're all like all eyes on.
So many people do that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So like that was just so we'd do that. We did our Zoom calls, but meeting you guys in person, like obviously it would have been different because we were in Sydney anyway. So like whether we continued living there, it would have always kind of been via Zoom to some point. So yeah, it was really like weird, like seeing you guys in like person. It was like, oh, it's the same. Like it didn't even change. If anything, like the energy was even better.
Yeah.
Like,
And I wasn't drinking.
Yeah, no, you
75
weren't.
hard.
That's true. Yeah.
Dan wouldn't have been drinking either. So we got to a point where we basically put a strategy together. So you guys haven't bought your first investment property. You've actually bought your own home.
Yeah.
How cool.
So
Yeah.
and
So I was like, hey, we need to let's pull the trigger on this. Like when we're some part of the case studies of the videos that you would have seen is if you are posted to, you guys went to Amberley.
Yep.
All right, we can disclose that.
Yeah.
You guys went to Amberley. I'm like, that's one of the areas that we now put on our free online training, that if you're posted to that location, why wouldn't you pull the trigger on whatever entitlements you could get, depending on the government grants and the time and location and however long you were still going to have and your posting tenure, etc. So, hopefully that, I know it did, but not just coming to us to buy a property, actually putting a plan together which was extremely individualised to you and personalised to your circumstances that was going to give you the best outcome.
Yeah, and the education, and as what Kel said before, like she wasn't all in on the property investment stuff at the start. So by
I
you
kind
guys,
of had no idea.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have, not that I wasn't interested, but I hadn't done, like Hugh had done the research because it was going to be his investment property, whether it was with you guys or
You
if
playing
we went
catch up.
down.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, okay. Like, and money, kind of those type of things I've never been like interested in. So I was like, oh, okay, we'll just see how we go. And then, obviously it just blew out. And
So you guys are halfway through your first build now then?
yeah,
Where
so
are you up to? Tell us where you're up to.
Just waiting for our frame to be put up.
yeah.
So we're started the slabs all done, got the first home buyers grant, which is really good. But just waiting for the frame to be slapped up and
I've had a frame sitting there at my place for 12 weeks now, waiting for the roof to go on. So it's just a crazy, crazy time at the moment.
Yeah.
So as you've heard us talk about with our community, every single Facebook Live we do on every second Wednesday, being patient and understanding and not feel like you're being singled out is the way to go.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell, like,
You know.
even like, I suppose we're building all around like the blocks surrounding and stuff. Like, it's the same thing. Like, you can see that the delays are there for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's only our block that's like, oh,
Yeah.
like it's everybody.
Yep.
And like a few of the girls like at work that I work with, like they're building and they have the same things. Like they've all been told about, the delays and stuff and the COVID world and things like that happening. So,
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh, well, we
Yeah.
said as well, like you can, if you invest in the right area, it can sit there all at once and it'll take its time and you're benefiting from it anyway.
Yeah.
you
What
know?
did you say when we were talking about sites? Someone else paid $2,500 more for a block in and around your street area.
Yeah.
Let's call it within 100 metres or so.
Yeah.
And it's 70 square metres less.
Yeah.
How'd
it's
that make
tiny.
you feel?
Yeah, it's
Bloody good.
yeah, and that that's only
They paid more for less.
Yeah.
that's 6 months. That was like 6 to 7 months difference.
Yep.
And the developer where we are, they've held off from releasing more blocks of land. They were meant to
Oh,
release,
we know.
meant to
We've been
release
waiting.
in May.
We know.
So
We've
crazy
got-
times for everyone.
We've got a bunch of people that are in your shoes,
Yeah.
wanting to pull the trigger on your ADF housing entitlements, and a bunch of people that are in other places in Australia that are at that particular price point that want to invest in that area from a non-emotional perspective,
Yeah.
which is ultimately from a long-term point of view why you've done it as well. We've had the ambush set, mate, haven't we? And we've just been marking time in a holding pattern for 20 or 30 people since May. And then every time we coach someone, we're like, oh, you want to go there? There's another one on the list. There's another one on the list. There's another one on the list. So
I honestly think like we could not have done it like at any other time. Like we think of that now, and like when we were still in Sydney and like we had gotten our posting, but like other things were still kind of unknown. Like I was sitting on the side going like, are we going to buy it? Like, we're going to do this. Okay. Like, all right, we're going to do this. And like now I'm like, oh, lucky. Like we are so lucky. Like everything just like slotted perfectly into place, like with jobs and everything like that. Like we, couldn't have done it at any more of a
and we wouldn't
time.
have done it by ourselves either. You know, even to the point of having you guys having the connection for the home builders grant to have that done before the 31st of December deadline for that extra 10.
Yeah, it's
stuff
just,
like
it's
that.
just synchronising the key dates and using those military planning principles that we're all exposed to in your life.
Yeah.
You can't when we go to work as veterans now. Like we go back to our military workplace, and you're just in contingency mode all the time. What are my key timings? What are my key outcomes?
Yep.
Who else do I need to communicate with? Like you've just got that on your radar, almost every minute of your day while you're there. How am I contributing to the bigger plan?
Yeah.
When you just transpose that mindset, dare I say it, have your axons working in the same way to your life, and you've got that sync matrix, and you've got the clarity, and you've got the team, and you know why you're doing it, everything changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Everything.
Sure. It really does.
I'm putting words in your mouth, but I'm like, I
true,
know that that's the case.
Yeah.
So you got to a point eventually, then you contacted me, let's call it 6 months or so ago, earlier this year, and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about, this military thing's not really working for me anymore. Like you just reached that point whereby you didn't feel like that you wanted to stay in. Tell us more about that, because this is an interesting little story as well, ladies and gents.
I'm glad you brought that up. When I got back from overseas, I kind of was like, I've done a lot in the small amount of time that I've been in. And I was really satisfied with that. And I just kind of started to lose the passion and love. And logistics is essential, but it just isn't for me. I'm I like to help people. And then after it was February, and I'm not even this is 100% true. I was driving out of the gates of Amberley one day, and I had an absolute shit day, and I was just so over it. And it was Dan on the podcast. I'd put the podcast on, and I was driving out the gates, and I was in season 1 of the podcast, and Dan was like, when you're having thoughts about leaving, it's a matter of time before it happens. And
again, all of us nodding.
Yeah.
Everyone listening's like,
and I was like, I was so blindsided though with a lot of just incentives from defence and entitlements. So I kind of put that on the back burner, but I wasn't a happy person. And then, that's when I reached out, and I just kind of had a bit of a chat and said, we spoke about it.
Yep.
And then at this point in time, it was kind of one of those things that wasn't going to work. And I am grateful in a way for that, because I have been given everything, and we've spoken about this before. I've been really lucky in my life. I've literally been, you do this, or and that comes with hard work as well, but I haven't had a lot of setbacks in my life. And, obviously compared to Kel's career, mine was very fluent. I was able to deploy, blah, blah, blah. But I was really grateful in the sense, at this point in time, I had someone that was kind of like, maybe just not now. Because that for me was like, okay, it's not rejection, but it's like, right, what now? What do I need to do now? So it changed just the thought process, and that's okay, that's life. So how are we going to overcome?
Everything's about timing.
Yeah,
you've hit a couple of times, Kel, things happen for a reason, but when you're talking to the right person at the right time about the right event, you'll get the right outcome.
Yeah.
And to get all those lined up, all those holes in the cheese to be the right, and timing is generally the one thing which is just, it'll either bring it all down. Yeah. Opportunity, resources, and intent. Yeah. You got to have all those three together as well.
So many things need to match.
Yeah. That's right.
And I suppose until you maybe don't have something that doesn't match, you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. What can I do to what can I do? What's the next step? Like, what's my plan B? Do I have a plan B?
Because no doubt those things that Dan said would have been ringing in your ears like, well, it's only a matter of time, bro. You're going to get out at some stage. Because then no doubt your plan B planning, Kel, would have kicked in straight away.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, it got to the point where I was starting, like I did my CV up and I was like, you know, I'll just have it there, good to go, you know, and I'll pull the trigger when I need to. And it got to the point where I literally was a miserable shit, and it took you know, there's only so much your partner can say, but when you hear it from someone else within like in your family, it kind of hits a little bit different. And I had my mum at the time kind of pull me aside and was like, you know,
what's going on?
We're worried about you.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going down a good route. And you know, again, I'm extremely lucky. I've got everything I want. We've just bought a house. You know, there's so many good things, but I just was not happy with where I was at with my job. And it's so important because your work takes up so much of your life. And then it took that conversation for me to be like, what am I doing? You know, like, can I, there are options. Everyone has options, and it is hard to see at that point in time. But I was, having that conversation really opened my eyes. And then Kelly and I had a conversation, and I was worried about, because we had started the build process. I was like, oh, we'll need to find a rental. We'll have to be, you know, we'll have to leave DHA. So there was a lot of factors. And
we sorted you out with that as well?
Yeah. So that's what I want to kind of come into. So once I kind of made that decision, I started applying for jobs, and was very fortunate within about a 2-month span of like applying. I had a couple of interviews, and I essentially had a choice, which was really good. But then, you know, once I'd signed the contract to join where I work now, I was like, right, we need to move. You know, I've got to still have surgery that Defence is going to do. There's a whole lot of things.
You're no longer entitled to your married quarter or your RA, etc. So that full transition mode.
Yeah, and then so I thought, I emailed you and I said, look, can we just have a bit of a catch up? I just want to, you know, I wasn't sure about, you know, the housing entitlement stuff and what I needed to do. And from that point, it was just so easy. And, you know, the rental market at the moment is so hard to get into. But the fact that, you know, again, timing, it's just so happened that, you know, about 2 weeks before I was going to leave, that there was a house where we live now that was being ready for us to kind of move into.
So another Axon client was building an investment property.
Yeah.
They were posted down south, and I was like, hey, I reckon we can get you guys slid in here.
Yeah. And shout out to them too, because I really do want to meet them,
so
because
grateful.
we are extremely grateful for...
It was a little bit of a sticky sitch, but we got there, and so we are really thankful for them.
Yeah, for being able to...
Actually, they're down in Wagga.
Yeah,
he's an RI down at Wagga.
Right.
Yeah, great bloke, and she's a lovely lady as well. So I'll be able to make that happen.
But yeah, and then so got that 6-month lease sorted, and then everything just rolled in, and from that point, I've got no bad blood for Defence, and I think, as I said, you know, Defence is such a great platform for you to really find who you are as a person, to set yourself up and kind of go from there, especially at a young age. And I think more younger people would really benefit from joining the military at a young age. Because
conscription.
Yeah. But, you know, how many people these days go and get a university degree straight out of school because it's what society tells them or their parents tell them, and then
they don't even go down that road sometimes.
Well, or they can't even get a job. You know, where you can do 5 to 10 to 15 years in the military. You're still young enough. You learn really good things, enjoy your time, get great experiences, and really benefit from it.
It'd be very, very rare to meet anyone. You know, you guys did 4 or 5 and 2 or 3 years, whatever it's going to be. Yeah. So your time was quite young. Short. Yeah. But you're still seeing the praises of what young people should do. No. As a guy who joined as a 17-year-old and got out when I was 41, you know, and what, 3 or 4 years you did as well. That's a joke. Yeah. You know, the 10 odd years that you did as well, Dane, like you when you have so much extra time in the military where it almost become institutionalized.
It's a huge eye-opener.
It really is. Like, you're just right. There's so many young men and women who just don't get exposed to what we have been through.
Yeah.
Therefore, they'll never feel the way that we feel.
Yeah.
That's why the veteran community is so unique and so different.
Yeah.
And while we need to actually wrap our arms around each other, because that relatability that we no doubt felt, like Dane and I love drawing off to our clients because we can just be who we used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as someone comes in and we think they've got a little bit of Air Force in their blood, I'm like, bro, you go talk to them.
Yeah.
You're the best person to go talk to them, because even though I ran the JTAC capability for SOCOM, I was never in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can sort of play that card a little bit and go, oh yeah, fucking good idea. But if they don't like fast jet community, like, I'm dead in the water there anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a really relatability between all of us is like so key.
Yeah.
And I just think society would relate to their families and relate to their co-workers so much more if they knew some of the skills that we'd been exposed to.
Yeah, like such an unknown field. Like, it's something that is so unique that, like, you learn a lot about your like about you, about like your peers, how to deal with different like situations. Like, you do really become like, you know, resilient, and
you grow
there's a
up
lot of like,
really
you know,
quick.
obstacles you
Mature
have
really,
to tackle, and like, yeah, it changes you as a person. And whether you have like a good on, you know, smooth, whatever you like your time is, like it definitely makes you like
a better person.
a better person. Yeah.
I like how you put it, man. It's a great platform. So I always say, if you have no idea what to do, you might as well make that decision while you get paid for it.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Just go into defence and sit there, because they'll tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Especially because you remind me, please, how old were you when you first joined?
27.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 10
Your
years.
Yeah.
10 years yonder,
No,
10 years
26,
further down the
sorry.
track.
26. Wow.
So, you know, there's another unique perspective about sort of how, so you're never too young to be able to sort of get that under your belt.
I had a different appreciation for it when I went through, because I would always find, and I'm not poking fun at people who go in straight after school,
Yeah.
but for them, the grass was always greener on the outside.
Yep.
And I used to think, well, it's not, mate, because once you get out
That's
there.
why I'm here.
Yeah. once you get out there, everything is for profit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So like here,
KPI
they can
driven.
they can carry it. They
Yeah.
can carry someone. Like
Yeah.
someone get injured and so on and so forth. They go like, oh, well, they might have an opportunity of going to another role. They can sit in pool flight for 12 months, all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Mate, that shit just does not happen on the outside.
Yeah,
You're
it
not
doesn't
performing.
exist.
No.
Yeah.
You go home, you know. So I had a different appreciation when I went through it. But you're right, man. And I think it's one thing you'll never fake. And one of the things that I really like about Axon is, like, even though we're not in the military, I think I know more about it now because I talk to people from an array of different fields, different times, different experiences, doing different things at the time. And it's good because you can never fake that.
No.
You can never fake being in the military because people know, right? You can talk to someone within 2 minutes. You're like, oh, yeah, man. And you can start to relate.
Get 1,000
all that sort of
acronyms
stuff.
thrown at you. And
100%.
That's why one of my pet hates is other firms in the property space that specialise in helping defence,
Yeah.
yet there's been no defence specialisation in their
Yeah.
fucking business.
Yeah.
So I'm like, get out of my sector. Get out of
It's
my
really-
fucking
chase them
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
It's really
it's
interesting, even like the fact that, you know, Hugh continued to serve as I like transitioned. Like, that was a big eye opener to see that change. Like, I thought, oh, like, I've been in defense. Like, I understand it. But like, even that, like, things happened that I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't experience that when I was in. And like, it was good because we still do like have quite a good, like, crew that we met through defense and stuff. But even just having, you know, some of our friends that do have civvy partners when they do deploy, I'm like, I've been a partner at home.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I understand that. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, if you need anything, you know, I'm totally,
reach out.
I've been through that. Like,
Yeah.
and it's really good to have that support system as well. It's not like, you know, we've only, you know, just been doing our thing in defense and we don't
Yeah.
kind of look at anything else. Like,
You guys are kind of slid, though, like, in a way, you transitioning, right?
Yeah.
Like, but you're still sort of in that field in a way with your new role, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us a bit
right.
about that.
Yeah, so I picked up a job working for Mates for Mates, which is really great, and working in that veteran space, and it's been a good eye opener, and we'll go into a bit more detail.
Yeah, just a little sneak peek, ladies and gents. We're going to have you come in with one of your other colleagues in another few weeks' time,
Yep.
which will probably be released in early next year.
Yep.
And I can't wait to hear all about sort of what Mates for Mates are doing for the community as well, which is really cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah, just give us your initial impressions of sort of,
yeah.
because that's your first workplace really that you've been to
Yep.
post-military, like since you're an adolescent.
Yep.
So yeah, what's the real world like, as Dane was talking about?
It's I absolutely love it, and it's really good to see the growth that will happen in the next, I guess, 3 to 5 and forever on years to come. But it was the change that I really needed. And, I'm a much happier person. And as I said, there's no bad blood with defence, and absolutely love my time. And but yeah, it was just time. It was just time for me. And, back in the day where people were doing 43 years, that's like the new 15, 20, really, because times have changed. The security that defence offers or used to offer isn't as probably good as what it used to be, and all of these different other factors.
People just have so much more info at their disposal to look at other shit.
Yep.
That's what it's like.
People are educating themselves a lot more on different things, and so times have changed a lot. So whether you've done, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you're still being a part of it. There's no.
It's that fabric. It's that part of our character and part of our culture, which now we can all sort of grab forward and keep going.
Yeah, and everyone has their different stories, but yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your story, by the way. That was I loved that. I just feel like these podcasts are getting better and better. And I know that both of you have sort of been very candid and very open and honest in here today, which is so great for everybody. So thanks you. Thanks, Kells. I can shake your hands quickly. Thank you. Nice firm handshake still. We're COVID free here, so we can fucking do that sort of stuff. Hey, thanks very much for listening. I'm sure everyone got a lot out of that, as I did. I love hearing stories for the first time. All right, catch up with you guys again soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.